This is AdTechGod, and this is a word from our sponsors. Attention is moving everywhere, across platforms, formats, and devices. JWX empowers media companies to connect their content with consumers across every platform. JWX, transferring content into growth. Learn more at jwx.com/marketecture. Again, go to jwx.com/marketecture.
This podcast is brought to you by AudioHook, the leading independent audio DSP. AudioHook has direct publisher integrations into all major podcast and streaming radio platforms, providing 40% more inventory than what could be accessed in omnichannel DSPs. What's more, AudioBook has full transcripts on more than 90% of all podcast inventory, enabling advanced contextual targeting and brand suitability. AudioHook is so confident that in addition to CPM buys, they offer the industry's only pay-for-performance option, where brands can scale audio and podcasting with peace of mind knowing they are only paying for outcomes. Visit audiohook.com to learn more. That's audiohook.com.
Welcome to the AdTechGod Pod, your window into the world of advertising technology and the people behind it. I'm your host, AdTechGod. Welcome to the AdTechGod Pod, where we speak to the founders of B2B PR agencies. Today's guest is Lauren Douglas, the founder of Reverve. Lauren was the VP of Marketing at Teads, SVP Global Marketing at Channel Factory, and the Director of Global Marketing and Events at Criteo. She has a fantastic marketing background. She's also a content creator, which I think we can relate to a lot here at Marketecture. I'm a huge fan of Lauren's. Lauren, thank you for joining me, and thank you for taking time out of your day.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm also a huge fan of yours.
Thank you. Thank you. So how long have we actually been messaging each other? It's got to be at least like 2 or 3 years.
Yes, that's right.
Wild. Time flies.
I know. It's wild to be friends with somebody who you don't know who it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I go up to people and I say hi to them at events and I walk away and I'm like, I would just realize they have no idea who I am. But don't worry, they'll message me later.
No. I like it that way.
I wanted to ask you, you started Reverve. Mm-hmm. You have a fantastic marketing background, just looking at the companies you worked at, Teads and Channel Factory. But I wanted maybe if you could take it back to how you got into marketing, and then we'll move into what you're doing at Reverve, and then we'll chat briefly about the content creation piece, because we know how much work that is, and people don't seem to realize that.
Yeah. So I started in marketing on the brand side. I was at Citibank on the card side, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth and learned what is marketing even. It was in 2007, 8. And back then I worked on emerging channels, which was email and, and digital. Because we were mailing like $1 billion a year in direct mail. And so our email budgets and those are all of our emerging channels. So I got to work on the emerging channels, which was digital, which was fun. And then after that, I moved into the B2B space, and was, just kind of learning things as I would go. I'd pick up PR, I'd pick up events, I'd pick up whatever. And you kind of just as you do, you grow your toolkit as you go throughout. And that's what I did. And, ended up in ad tech, which what little girl says, I want to work in ad tech? None of them, but you just end up where you end up. So, so that's kind of my marketing background and being at big companies. I realized that when I was doing marketing on the B2B side, I was like, why do we make it so bad? Why do we make it so hard and complicated? And we assume that B2B buyers are so rational and they're so smart and they care so much about features, and we can skip the whole top of the funnel because they're already at the bottom of the funnel. So all they need to know is why my product's better than the next person. And I just fundamentally disagreed with that and was like, let's make this better. Let's make it more interesting. Let's make it more fun.
Totally. And I think the interesting part is, especially in the ad tech space, they think that everyone is either not technical at all, meaning let's use as many buzzwords as we possibly can, and that creates interest, or it is so darn technical that you have no idea what they're talking about, or at least a majority of people don't know what they're talking about. And finding that middle ground is tough.
And even if they know what you're talking about, everybody needs context. You have to enter into a conversation. Somebody has to walk you into it. And so there's like, I've watched videos or I've listened to podcasts before where someone just immediately dives into the fact because like this person is an expert. Let's go deep, deep, deep. And it's like step 100 steps back and start with some context.
Having worked at like Teads, Channel Factory, you've worked on the brand side. What kind of drove you to getting to Reverve? Why did you found that? What's different about it, I guess?
Yeah, actually, I lost a job in, I guess it was like 2023, 2024. And I was just like, I don't know what to do with my life. It was one of those dark night of the soul moments where you're just like, you know, anytime you get made redundant or like lose a gig, you're kind of like, oh, shoot, is it me? Am I not good enough? And you kind of go through that shame spiral, which I did. And then started, you know, I had friends who were like, do you want to consult? Do you like, why don't you start running this? Why don't you run this? And I just started consulting and one thing led to another. And I had a really good friend of mine who I was consulting for TripAdvisor at the time. And she was like, nobody is doing what you're doing. You are very differentiated. She said, I've worked with a lot of agencies. I've worked with a lot of marketers and nobody's tying all the pieces together of like how PR works with social, how social works with your blog, how that all of that kind of works together in ticks and ties. And so she was like, she really pushed me and was like, you should consider, doing this as a business because this is a lot of value and you would help other people. And I was like, okay, I guess. And so there you go. That was 2 years ago.
A question for you when it comes to, I guess, the clients that you work with today. You and I both create content. You have your own pod. You create video content for socials. I see you on TikTok. I think that's where maybe you have the largest following, also LinkedIn. It's tough. Like, and it's a lot harder than most people think. And we were chatting about this prior about the organization and the planning. What's your perspective on, I guess, content creation moving into 2026 and where do you think things are going?
Yeah, I think we could jam on this for a while. I think 2026 and beyond is going to be the year where people start realizing that having a personal brand matters and having a point of view matters. You can't just rely anymore on like your company's LinkedIn or your corporate team comms. Like you kind of have to, if you want, especially in the sales ecosystem, if you want to have a sales team that is getting in the door and getting the right meetings and closing the right business, you have to enable them to create content, to have a point of view, to have a voice. And so I think that is like one of my major predictions for this year is that, you know, on the consumer side, brands are already starting to realize this. If you look at brands like Ulta Beauty, they're using their employees as ambassadors and they have these creator programs for them. And it does a lot of good. It creates a lot of like goodwill amongst the employees, but also then obviously it's very authentic. And I think that B2B is going to start doing the same thing because like people are going to realize that like having a brand, having a POV really does matter and it drives impact. But yeah, it's really hard.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It is hard. And I think there's so many aspects to it. And I love that we're kind of chatting about this because I don't think people recognize the challenges with a constant flow of fresh and interesting content.
Yeah.
And one thing that I go through and phases that I go through are moments of silence.
Yeah.
And those moments of silence are like, God, I have no idea what I want to post about. All of these topics bore me, or there's nothing hot happening that's controversial enough to like, you know, spark engagement. And it's almost like a creative block. And that aspect of it, it's almost like you need to go for a walk and like reset to be able to come up with good content. That being said, where do you find the biggest challenge with, I guess, coming up with your material and your content as you post?
Yeah, I mean, I get stuck too. And then also I have this thing, because I also post a bit about, you know, spirituality and sort of growth and like being a human being. And so sometimes I'll like go to post something about maybe meditating or about, you know, taking that walk. And then I'm like, wait, am I just like doing this because I'm feeling the need to fuel the ecosystem of content? Or do you know what I mean? Like maybe I don't need to post about my meditation so there's like this, it's like, I get stuck too. And then you're like, am I in a writer's block that I need to get out of? Or do I just need to be a little bit quiet right now?
It's funny. So from my view, I think you're not in a writer's block. And I think those pieces of content are interesting. So I started, and I remember one time Ari Paparo messaged me on Twitter and he goes, my God, like, do you ever stop talking about ad tech? And I'm like, no, LOL. It's not going to stop. What are you doing on Christmas Day? What ads are serving? And like, I never stopped, but that was intentional. Like that was 100% intentional. My goal was dominate every feed when it comes to this topic, and everything out of my mouth, everything out of my fingers, every post, every tweet smart. Would be related to this topic. But as the following grew, and I would say like reached that saturation of the ad tech following, right? At some point you cap out. It's like, okay, I got 5, 10, 15, 20,000. Okay, now what? It becomes the opportunity to start capturing other kind of audiences. Right. And that's why guests start to change, conversations start to change, news that I push changes because, okay, now I've dominated the ad tech space. Everybody's familiar with the brand. How do I get brands involved? How do I get agencies involved? How do I get hands-on keyboard ad ops involved? How do I get them familiar with my work so that I can build this audience bigger and bigger? And that becomes more and more attractive to everybody, partners, sponsors, etc.
I think, though, the important thing is that you started in this realm and you were a subject matter expert in it. And like people started to trust you and you were consistent and like grew over time. It's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And then other things open up, other possibilities. Oh, this is something that people are really interested in hearing about. Or I didn't have any idea I was going to go down this pathway. But I think like what's hard about content creation is like, you have to start somewhere and you don't see results for a really long time. So I think people get frustrated because it's like, I was listening to Stephen Bartlett. He was talking, I don't know if you know who he is. He's the Diary of a CEO guy.
No, I don't.
He's like one of the biggest podcasters in the world. He was one of Time 100's top creators. And one of the things that he says is like, what he's learned is that embarrassment is the price of entry and most people aren't willing to pay it. And I think that's really true. It's like embarrassment and consistency, like showing up when no one's watching, doing things when no one's paying attention, when nobody knows who you are, and like just continuing to show up and like continuing to talk. As you said, like everything you talked about was this and everything you said. And what was that, like 5 years, you know? And so like now you can pivot because you did all of that work.
And it was 3 years. So it was 3 years with not one penny.
Yes.
It was 3 years of just me and my thumbs. And it was a labor of love. It was kind of like how I vented. It was like how I shared my opinions. It was, I'm just going to have fun with this. And what I realized was that commitment to just being the most active I could possibly be at any time of day. And people used to ask me, do you ever sleep? Like, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in London, New York, LA, or Hawaii, like it's in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And you're responding. And I'm like, yeah, I don't sleep. I'm constantly on this thing.
Yeah. You have to be a little bit of an internet gremlin too.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was, I was getting out of hand. I've slowed it down now for a better life and quality of life, but I'm still pretty active very early in the morning. And then like right before I go to bed, I post something too, just to keep it going. Question for you though. There are influencers in the space that are focused on like volume in terms of like, maybe that was my initial approach, was constant and consistent content. And there are those who are really focused on quality. Do you finding that balance between, I guess, frequency and volume versus quality is hard?
It is a good question.
No, it's a good question.
I think that it's like whatever is most natural to you. It's the same thing with like, you were interested in ad tech, so started posting about ad tech because that's what you care about. Like, what is interesting to you? Like, it's the same thing with how often do you want to post? How often do you want to make content? the weird thing is that like a lot of times I'll put a lot of effort into something that I think is high quality and I'll be like, this is going to crush. And then it flops completely. And then I'll like be walking on the street and film something and it all of a sudden, goes crazy. So it's like, it's really hard to gauge, I think too, like what is going to resonate with people and what's not. So I guess the answer to quality over quantity is like, I don't know. I think it's just consistency is probably the best bet.
Yeah, I think I bet at one point I posted, and I post so much, but I know that I go through a lot of things I talk to you about, even just in like DMs or messaging, or even now on the pod, is the time frame that you have to capture someone's attention when you post is like seconds. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because if your post really sucks, like don't overthink it. It's done anyway. Like nobody's going to look back at your post 4 minutes and going to be like, oh, that was horrible. No, it's already gone in their feed. The bad thing is that sometimes they're really good and you know that all the time and effort you put into it is done. Like it's over and you got to move on. So it's kind of like the satisfaction of performance.
Yeah, but then I'll just repost it, or I'll try a different tactic, or I'll pick a different snippet or clip or something. I think you're right. It's like you get that 2 seconds. So one of the things is like, I always think about what is the value that I'm giving someone? Someone is giving me their time and their eyeballs. And what am I giving them in return? And if I'm starting out with something that doesn't matter to them, or in video, I see a lot of people put like pre-roll or like assets, like their brand logos and things before, like for 2 seconds before they even start the video. I'm like, you've already lost the person because you're not giving them enough value in the 2 seconds that you've had their attention for. And so they've swiped past you. So I guess I'm just like, always be thinking about like, what value can I give them? And how can I make that as quick as possible so that they understand the value? And then a lot of times, if I think it's good and I think that there's a really valuable POV in there, I'll just retry it. I'll try a different snippet. I'll try a different section. I'll change the headline. I just keep trying and try. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and then sometimes it sticks.
Totally. From where you sit from Reverve and the clients that you work with, where do you think things are heading in 2026? Like what direction is, I guess, the advertising? I don't want to just dig into ad tech because you're more than that. Like in the advertising, how brands are looking at spending, maybe where the money might flow. Is it creation? Is it TV, etc.?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think people are really confused right now, and I don't think they know how and where to spend their budget. And so in an effort to be rigorous about it, it's like, let's just cut budgets, or let's cut this, or we don't know if it's working, so let's pull it back. And I think that the brands that are going to win, and like especially on the like B2B side, the brands that are going to like make a splash are the ones that are putting their foot on the gas pedal right now, because I think there's a lot you can do. I think there's an opening, like where other people are closing, it's you could open and go forward. I think that people are starting to realize, which is our game, which is great. People are starting to realize that like having a POV, having a personal brand, having a podcast, creating content, creating assets, like that stuff is working better for them than really stodgy, sort of like perfected, very clean, kind of the ad tech marketing of 2014. I think people are seeing that that's like not working as well anymore. So I think it's good. I think that's great. More personality is better.
Yeah, I think a big part for, what makes marketecture so interesting. And I don't want this to be a sales pitch, but like whatever, my podcast, I'll do whatever I want, is the fact that like we are all really quirky. Like if you look at Ari's personality, Jeremy's personality, my personality, everybody on the team, we all have a personality. And if there's one thing that I push for internally outside of just like, hey, your opinion really matters, it's just be yourself. Like, I don't care. Like if you like something weird, cool, dude, like go for it. Like nobody's going to judge you because you collect those little monster guys or whatever they're called, whatever the kids like. No. Like
totally.
You want to, what do they call Labubus, yeah. Like nobody's going to judge you if you love Labubus and you're wearing a Labubu shirt on a recording. Like be yourself. Like who cares? Because we're all very normal, but we have this fake. We have a very fake business persona, right? And
that's where I think a lot of people get it wrong with creating content, with making podcasts. I see a lot of bad stuff out there because I think people are trying to be too corporate and they get like almost scared of their guests and they're afraid to like, push back or ask hard questions or whatever. And so like, I think like where you can lean in, as you said, to your personality, lean into who you are. I always tell my clients, like, what are the things that people come to you for advice about? What are the things you talk about at happy hour? What are the things you do on the weekend when no one's watching? Like maybe it is collecting Labubus or building Lego sets or whatever, but like take all of the weird bits of you and like put it together, and that's you. And don't be this corporate business you and then this like fun personal you. Like be you completely.
I think that's why the content creation aspect has grown so much. And it's not just, I think it's relatively newer in our industry, but like fintech, it's been going on for a while. Like there's a lot of really great influencers. They've built massive companies from behind, just poking fun of an industry that's relatively boring, like finance.
Yeah.
And then you look at ad tech, it's very similar, right? Sorry, but like it's boring. Like the tech is not the most exciting thing ever. We serve ads. Nobody really cares.
Yeah.
As long as it's being delivered and we can somehow tell what happened after somebody spent $1. Did they get $1? Did they lose the $1 fully? Like we're good to go.
Yeah.
And I think it created this opportunity for people to realize like, hey, lighten up, like be yourself. Yeah. We're already fun when we all go out, but we don't have to be so buttoned up on social. Like we can be ourselves and show our personality.
I agree. I just don't think people have gotten that yet. That message. Like I still see a lot of very stodgy, very corporate, very tight, people really care about the differentiation between our CTV platform. And I'm like, they definitely don't.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Yeah. We didn't even know you were in CTV until this recording.
Nobody cares. Just be you. Like what makes you interesting?
It's amazing. I love this. I almost feel like we're going to use this as a clip. So I think content creation is big. Is there anything else where you feel companies could do better in making themselves stand out in a market or an industry in particular that all kind of sounds like they have the same product?
Yes, I do. I think there is this core that sits at the base of every single human being and every single company. And I think sometimes what happens is we're not willing to look at the core. Okay, who are we as a company and an organization? What do we actually do for people? What stories do we have? What's the lore inside of our company that has survived for 10 years? Or what are the client stories that like we tell time and time again? Like what's that core that exists within the company? And then build your personality and your corporate POV and voice based on that. I think what happens is a lot of times people are like, oh, well, we do all the same things as our competitors, so we'll just make a website that says all the things that we do. But like marketing fundamentals, like you don't say all the things that you do. You know what I mean? You evoke feelings in people. And I think that's sometimes where B2B gets it flipped. And then I think it's the same thing with humans and your team, especially if you're leading in a sales organization. It's like, okay, like, how do you enable your people to be amplifiers? How do you enable them to be on stages, to be moderating panels, to be writing, blogs if they're interested in doing it, to be posting? Like, how do you sort of enable them? And I think that is a place where people have not quite gotten that yet, but I think that they're starting to and are going to move into that realm.
There's companies in the space that I think have fantastic products. And maybe, just maybe, their marketing efforts don't need to be as cutting edge because, they have the market captured, in my opinion, right? Like there's ad serving solutions in the market. There are DSPs in the market where they can stay buttoned up because they own a majority of the market. I think it's the other ones that need to be active, in my personal view.
The underdogs.
The underdogs need to be more unhinged.
Completely
agree. They
agree.
need to be more active. They need to be more punching up with everything that they do. It's okay. Like, I think even though I wouldn't say he's an underdog, but I would definitely say he is a smaller player, right? That gets, when I look at like someone like Brian O'Kelly in the space, right? Fine. He's successful. He had a $1 billion exit. He's got money. He's got whatever. That's fantastic. But scope 3, would not be known if it wasn't for his activity on social.
For sure.
And he is everywhere. Like he is on every pod. He's doing selfie videos. He's posting controversial stuff. He's calling out the biggest players in the industry. Whether you agree or you don't, the guy is a fantastic marketer.
100%. Love him or hate him too. Like
love him or hate him.
Some of why he's popular is just because people are like hate watching, but it's like, great, you're still watching, you're still engaging. He's a great case study for how a founder CEO can leverage their own personal brand to build the corporate brand. And by the way, that doesn't cost a lot of money.
No, not at all. When you look at 2025 and the biggest changes from where you sit, you obviously worked at Brand Innovators, you worked at a few others over the last 3 or 4 years. Where do you find, I guess, AI's impact on content creation playing a bigger role? Is it going to be good, bad, fake? What do you think?
I do think there's going to be much more human IRL. I think what you guys are doing with Experience as an event is like people are hungry for human to human. I think in the content creation game, people are hungry for faces. The highest performing posts on LinkedIn in general are selfies. And I don't think it's because everyone wants to see your face. I think it's because it reinforces that humanity. And we get so lost in the like polished corporate nonsense on LinkedIn. And so I think that the human and the IRL and that is going to be even more, it's already becoming really important. I think it's going to become even more important.
Amazing. Last question before we wrap it up. Why do you love marketing so much?
I love marketing because I love the idea that I believe every single person has a story to tell. And I think that if you aren't telling your story, it's likely because you're afraid to tell your story or you're afraid of being seen. And I think that marketing and I think that's the same for a brand as well as a human. And so I think that like marketing is this opportunity to be excited, to be passionate, to show who you are, to show what your product does, and to be really authentic. I think a lot of times we get it wrong, but when we get it right, it's fun and it's light and creative.
Lauren, I feel like we should have done this like a year ago, maybe longer.
Well, here we are. We did it now. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being my guest today, and good luck to you and Reverve. I hope you guys have a stellar 2026.
Your lips to God's ears.
Amazing. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the AdTechGod Pod, a podcast for the people, about the people. Stay connected with me for more insights, trends, and interviews in the realm of ad tech. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so follow me on X, Instagram, and connect with me on LinkedIn. Don't forget, ATG Slack community has insights, networking opportunities, and jobs. Keep the conversation going and stay at the forefront of ad tech innovation.